views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program host and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by TCN TV Network Incorporated. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The TCN TV Network claims no rights to the said content. TCN TV Network cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. TCN TV Network is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this program.
Good evening and welcome back to On Point, your number one political and current affairs talk show program, broadcasting to you live from the beautiful studios of TCN Network right here in the amazing city of Brampton. We're always excited to be on each Tuesday evening from 4 to 5 p.m. where we keep you informed as to the headlines, as to what is happening, things that are of importance to you as Canadians. This evening, we have with us the lovely Kimberlee as our guest panelist who is with us. Welcome, Kimberlee. Good to have you as usual.
Thank you. Good to be back.
And we have Faraz Saleem, who is also here to give us some perspective. Faraz, welcome. Good to have you.
Thank you, Jermaine.
All right. So we are just about 62 days until the next general election. Lots to talk about this evening. Lots are happening on the electoral scene as we prepare. We will take a look at the battleground field of Brampton North, where one Mr. Arpan Khanna is trying to unseat one Ms. Ruby Sahota, who has been the Member of Parliament there for the last 4 years. We'll also take a look briefly at what is happening at the AMO conference taking place out there in Ottawa. So let's talk about this evening. But first, let us take a look at some of the headlines that is taking place as we look forward to the 43rd general election. We have some issues that are coming up. The Ethics Commissioner Faraz recently released his findings to find that the Prime Minister was indeed at fault as it relates to the SNC Lavalin issue and putting undue pressure on Ms. Wilson-Raybould, the Attorney General at the time. Your initial reaction to that finding by the Integrity Commissioner?
It's quite funny you bring that up as a starting point in this in this show, Jermaine. It's the second time in Canadian history that the same Prime Minister has been held in breach of ethics that are the fundamentals of political life. Mm-hmm. You know, we elect representatives and we expect them to honor the ethics as a priority. Yes. Be it a liberal government or a conservative government or any other government, the biggest mandate for a political representative is maintaining ethics. Yes. And it's also interesting that this time around the full closure of this file took no time. It was done quickly, it was done promptly, and it was communicated to Canadians very quickly and very transparently. So kudos to the Ethics Commissioner and the office for upholding laws and regulations. And at the same time, this could be a big blow for the Liberal Party right now, just before the election.
Kimberlee, do you agree? I mean, is this an issue for the Liberal Party to be very concerned about? For the second time, as far as saying that a Canadian Prime Minister has been found to have been in breach of ethic rules. Should they be concerned?
Definitely. Just like Faraz was saying, ethics is one of the fundamental things, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. That should really cause alarm in Trudeau's camp for sure, I believe.
Okay, all right. Let's take another look at some of the headlines. We have one big one coming up now. It's causing a bit of a stir. As we are aware, you know, there is the issue to do with Mr. Jihadi Jack. You know, as he is called out there in the media world. You know, this headline is saying that Trudeau refuses to say if Jihadi Jack is welcome back to Canada. A bit of a background here, Kimberlee, if you want to take this one first. A bit of a background here. This is one of the guys who was one of the main fighters in Syria. You know, he has both Canadian and British citizenship. And the British have moved to revoke his citizenship. Justin Trudeau has made the point that, once you're a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. So he doesn't believe that, a Canadian should be revoked his citizenship. Justin Trudeau has been pursuing a policy where, upon return, these persons who went to Syria to fight comes back, he wants to do a process of reintegration into the community, while the Conservatives, and we might hear from Mr. Khanna when he comes on, are of the view that they should be prosecuted. Your view as to what Mr. Trudeau should be doing as it relates to Mr. Jihadi Jack, whether he should be coming back to Canada or not.
Right. Well, on easy lies the head that wears the crown, right? It's really a rock and a hard place, if you will. I understand if you're a Canadian, then yes, they should have those plates. We have those fundamental rights, but at the same time, we want to be conscious as to what we're upholding with in terms of our society and our system, and making Canada safe again. So I guess it's like a two-way street, really. Yes, Canadian, if he's Canadian, unless that's been revoked, he should enter. But we also want to propose like a deterrent for people not to just do frivolous things and then they can come back and seek asylum, if you will.
Faraz, your thoughts?
It's also quite interesting. This is again a very a report that sort of puts the Liberal government under the microscope, because the Liberal government was the one that changed the rules on having to take away citizenship for convicted terrorists or people who are convicted traitors or are charged of espionage. And the Conservative government had a thing in place under the leadership of Stephen Harper, which was moved around to accommodate a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. But if you think about it, this person left from the UK and went on to fight a war in a different country, and now with the British government having to take away his citizenship, is actually left him as Canada as the only option, right? So it's a tough place to be. Maybe all the parties would just leave him as is and really not open any doors back for him to return.
That's interesting. All right, well, let's move on to another headline. The 62 days to the election. One of the things that people normally do during the campaigns is that the media follows the leaders around. We have seen where the Conservatives have moved to make it much, much cheaper for media outlets to join the leader as he goes to different campaigns. Good thing, Kimberlee, bad thing, giving media access to the leader?
Good thing. Good thing, I think. It needs to be out there. Some of these media accesses for people who are so busy, they don't even know a lot of what's going on, and I think that's a good avenue. I know there was a little talk surrounding if it was, cheaper or not, but the fact of the matter is during the election, you're going to have the media outlets going anyhow. The Liberals, they didn't even talk about what their price is, and obviously they're also working on decreasing that. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing.
We're out of time for this segment. We want to go to a clip. We have a clip here. We're going to go to it. This week we saw both leader of the Conservatives, Andrew Scheer, and leader of the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, were both at the function, and they decided to greet each other. Let's take a look at that clip and get your feedback on it. Do we have the clip? Basically, what that clip is for us is, or Kimberlee, you want to take a look at it. What that clip is Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer was basically walking in this parade. They saw each other. Just the week before, the same thing was happening with Justin Trudeau saw Jagmeet Singh. He was walking with his family. He called out to him, went over, shake his hand. Saw the same thing, saw Andrew Scheer walk over about to shake his hand. But then Andrew Scheer said something to him. Kimberlee, what's going on there?
Well, based on the caption, it appears that he said he should stop lying to Canadians. That's what it appears, at least based on the caption, right? Bold by the leader of the opposition there. But yeah, we could see that Prime Minister Trudeau, he just wasn't having it. Whether he was caught off guard or whatever the case might be, he wasn't prepared to answer. He just kind of brushed off.
At least he gave him a pretty good clapper with that clapping
Yes.
thing in his hand.
Well, sometimes in the House of Commons they really go at each other. I guess Andrew Shea wanted to even take this out on the street. I guess he was kind of really concerned about the Ethics Commissioner's report, and really want to say, hey,
what's going on here?
Canadians, what's going on here? All right, let's look at the last one. Last headline: the NDP Quebec Member of Parliament, Mr. Pierre Natel, decided that he was going to jump from one party to the other. Does this spell trouble for the NDP, Faraz? He's leaving the NDP caucus, going to the
Just in
Green
a few
Party?
seconds we have left, it's jumping from a leaky boat to another leaky boat.
All right, Kimberlee, want to say something on that?
Uh,
Leaky boat to leaky boat?
Yep, something like that. I mean, it's cynical for us to think that he's just switching to hopefully gain the seat. But yeah, leaky boat, I would say for sure.
All right, stay with us. This is On Point, where we come back. We will talk to the gentleman from Brampton North who wants to be the next Member of Parliament. Stay tuned as we have a conversation with Mr. Arpan Khanna. This is On Point.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. May your dreams all come true. Happy birthday to you.
We refuse to promote, report on anything negative in the community.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Welcome back to On Point, your #1 political and current affairs talk show program, broadcasting from the lovely city of Brampton here in the TCN Network studios. We have with us Mr. Arpan Khanna, the Conservative candidate running in Brampton North. Arpan, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on your show, and it's very exciting to be on this great show that talks about the current affairs of our community and what's going on.
All right, good to have you. Let's get into it, Arpan Khanna. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background. Where you grew up in Brampton. A little bit about that. And
Yep, as you mentioned, I am currently the candidate for the Conservative Party in Brampton North.
Yep.
Brampton North is where I'm born and raised. From elementary school to high school, I still live there. I grew up in the M section. Now I live in Springdale. I used to work quite a bit for government before. I worked for the provincial Conservatives back at Queen's Park when I first started off, and then I worked for Jason Kenney in a federal at the federal level. I've worked under many municipal campaigns, so I'm quite experienced when it comes to politics. But I've also been quite connected to the community. It wasn't a decision for me overnight to jump in. I've been quite involved, whether it was town halls, meetings, various issues going on in our community. I've always found it important to be involved. I have a law degree. I work at a law firm in Toronto, so I understand the political side of things, the community side of things. I'm on business as well. I'm a small business owner. I run a consulting firm, so I have a good understanding of those things. And so for me, it was more important to run because I think it's about time we have people that are running that actually care about the issues and not just chase the job.
Awesome. So let's back up a little. So I mean, lots of folks who get into law go and they open good practices, they make lots of money and stuff like that. Why do you want to get into politics rather than go into law and make some good money?
I think in the last 4 years, we saw a huge decline in representation in Brampton. Even the last municipal campaign, we saw a conversation happening about, our fair share. And as someone who's born and raised in this great city, we have so much potential. Yeah. We have so much potential in our community, but no one's fighting for us at the federal level. And that's what bothered me, is that day in, day out, our elected officials, they'll go to Ottawa, but were they actually demanding our fair share? And if we look at some of our funding, per capita, we're one of the lowest funded municipalities. And so for me, the reason it wasn't about money. I'm a big believer that public service is what we're all here to do. And I think there's nothing better than politics to get involved and give back. A lot of times, as you know, people get cynical about politicians, but I don't consider myself a politician. I call myself a public servant. I'm here to serve. This is my community. It's our community. And I think we have to work as a team to make sure that we get our fair share and that our voice is actually heard. So my experience working in government helps with that.
Okay, so let's go some of the issues, particularly in Brampton North there, that you want to take a look at, or how we could make some difference there. One of the things that we see in Brampton, there's some amount of crime keeps coming up in the city of Brampton. Right. For example, we had a record year when it comes to crime last year. We have seen in Toronto, for example, where as last week, where a big announcement was made about $7 million from the federal government going to fight crime in Toronto. We don't see these issues or these announcements in terms of these monies, federal monies coming to Brampton to deal with some of these issues. Right. Your view on that, and how would you help to kind of deal with the crime situation that we're experiencing in the city of Brampton?
Jermaine, you nailed it. One of the top issues I hear about at the doors has been the crime issue. Growing up, we've all seen, we used to leave our garage doors open, the bikes used to be on the grass, our cars would be warming up in the winter, we have no problem. Now, every single house I don't door knock, majority of the houses now have a camera or have that Nest doorbell. It tells me that Canadians, and especially in Brampton, are not feeling safe. You spoke about the record numbers of crime. Last year, we had almost a 15% increase in violent crime. That includes aggravated assaults. That includes firearm offenses. These are dangerous stuff. This is not our city. We haven't seen this before. And what concerns me is at the federal level, we've seen no action. There's a shooting close to my street. That's why I jumped into politics. And that breaks my heart. So some of the things we're looking at doing is, obviously we've seen funding go elsewhere. We've seen funding, like you said, go to Toronto. One of the biggest problems we have right now is that the Liberal government is focused on protecting the rights of criminals and not the victims. It's a criminal support first as opposed to victims. That needs to change. They brought this bill called C-75, which literally softened the punishment for violent criminals, for gang activity. And they've turned a punishment that could be in prison to a penalty. That's not right. That fear of the rule of law needs to be there. It doesn't matter who you are. If you commit an offense, and it's a very serious offense, you should feel the rule of law. So we're looking at the punishment for a serious crime. The bail process is quite flawed. Chief Saunders mentioned to us last week in his press conference that almost 350 folks that have been charged with firearm offenses are now out on bail. That is unacceptable. Mental health plays a huge part of it. Addictions, drugs. We're not getting any funding for that. Peel Regional Police has said they have a shortfall for that. We've actually committed to something called the Police Infrastructure Grant, which will give local municipalities, local police forces, direct access to federal funding so they can have the tools they need to fight gangs and violent crime. The other thing we talk about is the youth. We're actually looking at increasing the youth fund, which will help the youth that are being actually in trouble.
Before we get down there, though, you mentioned, for example, mental health, and that's an issue that is close to you, close to your
Absolutely.
heart. Talk to us a bit about that. And I know, for example, you were having your birthday celebration recently, and you made it all about mental health. Why is that so important to you? And as Member of Parliament for Brampton North, what would that look like in terms of in the community? What are the programs or facilities you're looking forward to bringing to deal with mental health
Absolutely.
issues?
So Jermaine, as you know, physical health always gets the limelight. You know, we see a physical problem, we go to the doctors, and a lot of times the mental aspect of things doesn't get covered. Life's stressful. We have different issues. We got depression, anxiety, panic attacks. You know, we've seen a rise in suicides. We've seen a rise in addictions, and that's not being addressed. I've been through my challenges when I was in university and in school. I was depressed. I had panic attacks, and I felt there was a stigma that's around this, especially in cultural communities. You know, you got a pat on the back, and you're like, hey, you know what? Shake it off. Sometimes you can't shake these things off. And so for me, I think raising awareness, breaking down those barriers, having a discussion with our youth. I held a Dairy Queen event earlier on in March where we invited 100 youth to come out and talk about these issues. And these are issues that sometimes their parents don't understand. So we brought in healthcare professionals to talk about these issues. How can we work as a community to do this? Because suicides are happening, and that breaks our heart. And we got to figure out a way. How can we work as a team? Because if someone loses someone, that's still part of our community. And I want to make sure that I talk about my experience, because sometimes people hide behind it, saying it makes you look weak. It actually made me stronger.
Awesome.
That's one of my priorities right now.
I want to get to other things because we're running out of time down here.
I could be here all day.
Arpan, you're a younger guy. One of the things that we hear is that young people are not rallying around the Conservative Party, particularly because of it stands on issues like climate change.
Right.
In Brampton North, you have some areas that are well protected. The Hartley Conservation Area and some many other areas that are protected areas. Talk to us about how you see climate change as a Conservative candidate and your party's take on the role that climate change is playing in this election and in our planet.
So absolutely, we have a strong youth team that's part of our campaign, and I want to say it for the record: climate change is real. It is man-made. We're having issues with climate change. It is something of concern. But I don't agree with the liberal notion that you have to implement a carbon tax to save the environment. A carbon tax actually, if you look at it, studies have shown, has not proven to lower emissions, especially the liberal carbon tax, because what they're doing is they're penalizing 92% of the middle class. It raises the cost of groceries, it raises the cost of gas. We're going to keep on driving until you provide us an alternative, especially in Brampton. We don't have the best public transit yet, so we're going to keep on driving. The biggest problem they have is they're letting the biggest polluters off the hook. So the ones that are actually causing the pollution, they're not being penalized, but we, the soccer moms, the folks that drive around, the taxi industry, the trucking industry, their costs are going up. And what does that do? It brings the cost of living up. So I reject that the carbon tax is actually an environment plan.
So how would you, what's the plan? Yes.
Our proposal is very simple. Andrew Scheer launched a 60-page document of quite detailed plan. It's called arealplan.ca. You can take a look at it for the viewers at home. There's a few things we're looking at. Global warming does not stop at our borders. It's a global issue. Countries like China, who have been polluting 25% of the emissions, do not actually, if we do our part, they're still going to do their pollution. Same thing with the US. So we want to take our fight global. There's a lot of green energy innovation products that are happening here in Canada. We want to have that being sent out. Those that are polluting, those corporations that are polluting, they should be given incentives to not to pollute. We had an issue where raw sewage was being dumped in Montreal into the actual waters. That is a direct way of stopping it. We got to conserve our wildlife. We got to find ways to protect the water and make sure that that we have an actual plan, not just say a carbon tax, which we've seen does not work.
Okay. All right, we have just about 30 seconds to go, and 30 seconds to go. We might keep you for another 5 minutes.
No problem.
We keep you another 5 minutes so we can get. There are some other things I wanted to get to you at, in terms of. But we'll get back to that. So this is On Point. Stay with us. We will have an extended talk with Arpan Khanna, who wants to be the next member of Parliament in Brampton North. Stay with us. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
With so many newspapers within the community, it's sometimes hard to tell what separates us from the rest. Most of the time, they all brag about the same thing. The large circulations, tons of online views, and it can go on and on. But what really separates the Toronto Caribbean newspaper apart from everybody else? Well, it's simple. Our service. No, seriously. Hi, I'm Grant Browning, founder and CEO of the Toronto Caribbean newspaper. I have over 20 years of branding and marketing experience, and I've worked with countless companies and corporations to do one thing, and that is to raise their profits with their brand. With over 40 years of combined experience in branding and marketing, our amazing staff is fully prepared to sit down and figure out exactly what you need to stand out from your competitors.
The reason why you don't see that anymore is because
the ad is too powerful, bring too much people.
So what are you waiting for? Give us a call today. We'll be happy to help.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
Welcome back to On Point, your political and current affairs talk show program. We are here this evening talking to the gentleman who wants to be the next member of parliament in Brampton West. Brampton North. Yes. So you say I live in the Brampton West, so I keep defaulting to Brampton West. So Brampton North. Arpan Khanna, you are going up against Ruby Sahota, another young lawyer who is in there. You know, there are many people who consider her to be probably one of the most efficient in terms of the out of the 5 members of parliament in Brampton North, in Brampton actually. You know, how would you better represent Brampton North than what they are getting now?
Yeah, I think it's very, it's people have their views, and at the end, the voters will decide on who they want to go with to be their public servant. But the feedback I get at the doors, and I get from the many constituents I meet, we're the #1 riding in all of the country for door knocking, is that they don't have access to the representation. Yes, they elected someone, but if you look at the track record, if you look at in Parliament, how many times do they actually demand our fair share? It's always good to fight for things during the elections. It's always good to show up for photo ops during the elections, that 6-month period. But where were you for the last 4 years? And I believe that Brampton does not need a part-time MP. We need full-time public servants, and that's why I strive to be. I'm not going to bring someone down. I think, and the voters will decide on her record. My job is to provide an alternative to our community to see what is Arpan's vision, and what am I going to be doing. And that's what I promised. My flyers have my cell phone. I am active in the community, and I'm passionate about giving back. I have the experience. I have the understanding. I know what happens in Parliament. I know how laws are made. I know how bills are passed, and I know how to work with other municipalities. I can work with the mayor's office. I can work with provincial cousins. It's important to have that level of understanding, because if City Hall is going one way, the province is pushing one way, and federally we're walking a different area, we're not going to have that consensus for a better Brampton. We all got to get to the table, sit down. Doesn't matter what party you belong to, what your political affiliation is. We have to work for the people.
All right, I want to ask you a few quick questions. We had some headlines earlier, and I just want to get your feedback on some of these headlines out there. The Ethics Commissioner have said that the current Prime Minister broke the ethic rules. No, I know you're a conservative, but what's your view?
It doesn't matter, Jermaine. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you're liberal, NDP, conservatives. When you are a prime minister, you have to uphold the law. And the good thing in Canada, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be an average citizen like us. You could be a member of parliament. You could be a minister. You could be the prime minister. No one should be above the law. That is a fundamental belief that I strongly believe in. And it's disgusting and it's shameful to see that. And it's sad to see MPs defending that. And that's what. And they had 2 strong women in cabinet that were let go because they wouldn't break the law for the prime minister. He talks about being a feminist, yet he doesn't let his own women who are strong enough speak in cabinet. And that is absolutely disgusting, and that's what our people in Brampton North are actually talking about.
Arpan, we will hopefully have your counterpart in one day to have a conversation. But recently we saw, for example, where Brampton was leading as it relates to electric buses. Where the members of parliament got some funding, and this was great for Brampton. Credit where credit is due. Was this a good thing, investment in Brampton?
Look, I always believe credit is given when things are done well, but why did it take an election cycle to get these funding? Like I said, these are all election promises. You're going to see, the sunshine and rainbows coming out now. I'm going to say it again. Public servants are not there for just the election. They should be there for the full 4 years. $11 million. If you compare those numbers, yes, it's a great investment, but it's a little too late, and it's not going to keep up with our fastest growing city. We're the second fastest growing municipality in the country. We need more than just $11 million. And I'll tell the viewers right now, you're going to see a lot more of these candies and goodies and shiny objects coming out. But at the same time, we saw that last election as well. How many times have those promises been fulfilled?
Okay, I want to hold it to one more thing. We have seen on situations where persons who are campaigning for office have had their phone numbers on their flyers, giving their phone numbers out for us, and after the election, those phone numbers are changed. How would the people of Brampton, Canadians, can you assure them that the phone numbers you're giving out now will remain the same?
So, but this number has been my number for the last 6 to 7 years. I haven't changed this number. I have one cell phone. But again, it's about trust. It's about building trust. So I ask, residents when I go door knocking to get to know me. You have 62 days now. Get to know what type of guy I am. Ask me the tough questions. Because sometimes it's easy to say things, but when you actually meet with someone, you talk about their vision, talk about their passion, and look at my past track record. The best way to predict future behavior is to look at past behavior. And I've been involved in the community for the last 5 to 10 years. I've been active. I'm always at the community events. It's not hard to get hold of me. And again, time will tell. But that's my pitch is get to know the type of person I am and what I believe in. And I assure you, I'm sitting live on this show. My cell phone will not change regardless of the outcome.
I want to ask you 2 quick more things, and then we're gonna move on in the segment. Just to quickly your feedback. We talk about it in our opening. Jihadi Jack, for example, Canadian citizenship. The views of the Liberal Party is that a Canadian is always a Canadian. Your view as to these Canadians who have gone abroad to fight and want to return.
I'm a big believer that a Canadian is just not by name. It's by the values and the way you create your behavior and the way you conduct yourself as well. Yes, as Canadians we have different certain rights, but when you're leaving the country and you're fighting against exactly those same values, when you're going to other countries, holding the Canadian passport and shooting it with an AK-47, that tells me you're revoking your citizenship. We saw the UK, they revoked theirs. We wouldn't. As conservatives, will not fight to bring Jihadi Jack back. The line of Canadians is a Canadian, it's all good, but a terrorist is a terrorist is a terrorist, is what I say. And at the same time, if he does come back, I want to make sure that he's prosecuted and he doesn't he sees prison time, because he did go out and go against Canada and he fought the war against our allies. So absolutely, I think the British had the right to do what they did, and they did it.
Okay. Final question here for you, Arpan. You mentioned that you work extensively with Jason Kenney. He was a federal minister. Now he is premier of Alberta. It's important that how important is it, for that we have at the federal level government who is working as well with governments at the provincial level?
I think it's extremely important. I think in Canada and Canada's federation, each province plays such a vital role. Each province provides different contributions to Canada, and in Alberta we've seen that they've gone through some trauma with the NDP government. They've lost a lot of jobs. They went through a recession, and then now with Jason Kenney, he's fighting back for Alberta. The same attitude is what we need in Brampton. There's a lot of resentment that's building up in Brampton. We're getting left behind. We're getting treated as second-class municipalities, and that's why I decided to run. So I think it's important to have that connection. I have a good relationship with the Alberta counterparts, but at the same time, it doesn't matter who's in power. It could have been someone else. Once we get the chance to serve, I want to work with every single provincial government to make sure the needs of Canadians are met.
Arpan, how will you overturn the massive victory that Ruby had in the last election? The numbers are great. How do you propose to overturn that?
Victory? You know what, Jermaine? The past behavior again. We see what their record is. We're fighting on records. I'm looking at. I'm sharing their record, what they've done in the last 4 years. It's one door at a time. We're literally showing up. We're meeting Canadians. We're discussing my vision, my passion of what I want to do for Canada. Is it going to be easy? Nothing's ever easy, but nothing ever worthwhile is ever easy.
Okay.
And we have a strong team. I'm blessed to have one of the strongest teams of folks from all walks of life, from all different cultural communities. It doesn't matter, what you do, where you work. If you're 72, because we have some 72-year-olds door knocking with us.
Okay,
we have some of the youngest folks. But we have a good campaign team, and I'm very, very optimistic to get the job done on October 21st.
How can they reach you? How can the viewers out there, they have questions for you? How can they reach you?
My cell phone.
The same number.
647-969-7898. You could give me a call, text me. You can find me me on online, Facebook, social media, Twitter, Snapchat for the young folks. Whatever I could do, let me know, get in touch.
So there's a website and stuff that they can read more about your policies, your platform,
and get involved. Give me feedback. If there's good things, bad things, reach out to me. Let me know.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Arpan Khanna, the gentleman who wants to be the next member of parliament up there in Brampton North. What normally we have the flag, the map up there for Brampton North, but for some reason I don't see it right now. What are the boundaries for Brampton North?
Our riding is very
for those
unique.
who are watching.
Our riding is very unique. There's a lot of cutting and pasting going on, but it's from, I'll give you general boundaries. Here, Ontario to Torbram, Mayfield till about Williams Parkway, west. Of 410.
Oh, there we have it.
There's the map.
Okay,
the map?
There we go. So
There's
if you live in that area, you're in Brampton North, and this gentleman is asking you for your vote. You have 20 seconds.
Last thing, on August 25th, this Sunday is our campaign launch. Again, this is a grassroots campaign from 12 to 12:30. It's on Sandalwood and Kennedy. Any of the viewers that want to come, 12 to 2:30. If any of the viewers want to come, please come out, join us, ask me those questions, be a part of the movement. Let's fight for our city. Let's make sure we have a voice in Ottawa.
Arpan Khanna, thank you for coming in. This is On Point, where we bring you the information. We are introducing you to the candidates. Had some extra time with Arpan today as we wanted to flush out some more of the issues. Stay tuned. After the break, we'll be right back.
At Benjamin Law, we understand the real cost of personal injuries. As the victim of an accident, you may be the one who's physically hurt, but your main concern is that your family are the ones who will pay the price. Benjamin Law will be there for you, helping, supporting, and working tirelessly to resolve your personal injury case. Call 1-855-899-4878 or visit benjaminlaw.ca and let our family of lawyers help your family.
Are you retiring smart? Make your home's equity work for you. With your home's equity and our 30 years of experience, the Retire Smart Properties team can help you achieve the quality of life you've always wanted. Our services are 360 degrees. We'll give you advice, take care of staging and selling, and help you find the perfect home and community to transition to. It's time to enjoy the retirement lifestyle you deserve. Visit our website today to learn how you can use your home to retire comfortably. The Retire Smart Properties team, powered by RE/MAX West.
My name is Trish Curling, and I am an online coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher, and your new host of Shaping Life, which is all about understanding that we have the ability and the control to take charge of our health and wellness. But we can't do it alone, and I can't wait to sit down with the best in the industry. Please tune in every Friday at 1 p.m. live here on the TCN Network.
Welcome back to On Point, your number one political and current affairs talk show program. We are talking about the battle in Brampton North as we prepare for the 43rd general election happening on October 21st. We're just about 62 days away. We're happy to have Arpan Khanna with us, the gentleman who wants to be the next member of parliament in Brampton North. Faraz, we want to get to you on some of the issues that he talked about. He was good to hear him saying that he recognizes that climate change is something real and that we need to take a look at it. Sometimes the Conservatives are normally criticized for either not believing in climate change or don't have a climate change plan. What do you think of what he had to say about the issue of climate change?
I think it was interesting to see that he had a lot to say about a lot of issues. Mm-hmm. So he was really super connected and understood the questions, answered pretty quickly and properly, and basically sold himself pretty good. Okay. And that's interesting in the fact, a young person who's engaged and energized and ready to take on tasks within the community is a very positive initiative. And I was also taken aback a little bit when he talked about the climate change situation, and he mentioned that it wasn't about implementing more taxation to fulfill your requirements on climate change. And that's something that we have, as a community, also really need to focus on. There's certain small things we can do as individuals to support the environment, and at the same time, at a government level, not everything is about taxation to introduce new initiatives.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kimberlee, the Liberals have said that the most effective way to deal with climate change is through a carbon tax. Arpan is pointing out that that's not necessarily the only way, and he's also talking about the need for us to do things internationally. You know, because papers, you know, even if Canada, as he said, should reduce our emissions, places like China, the US, Russia, and other countries are still emitting and causing damage to the planet. You know, your view on what he had to say about that.
Well, I think he's absolutely right in terms that it's a global issue, and we've seen carbon tax that's been played out, and because it hasn't been effective or as effective as they would hope, we can appreciate this new concept, this new idea. How that would play out is a different story, but I think extending the borders and recognizing that it's a global thing and not just for Canada, because if you stop at one place here, then it can ripple over. I think that's an interesting concept and way of going about it, and yeah, it should be interesting to see how that plays out.
Kimberlee, we have with us, you know, we said we wanted to take a quick touch as to what is happening at the AMO conference, and we have Councillor Jermaine Williams, who have just joined us. We should have had her on a different link, however she came in on the cell phone. So Councillor Williams, I don't think they will be able to see you because we wanted you on a link, but certainly we can hear your voice. Can you hear us? Oh, hang on just a second there, Councillor. I think we're hearing you somewhere else. So can you hear us now, Councillor Williams?
I can hear you.
All right, let's see if we can get you up to the microphone here. So you are with a team from Brampton at the AMO conference. Can you talk to our viewers as to exactly what the AMO conference is and what you're doing out there?
Yes, we are at AMO, and it's the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and it's been a great meeting. We've met with many ministers to bring forward the concerns of the people of Brampton, and we've had some excellent discussions and very hopeful, hopeful results coming from these discussions. So I think all of us here, all the councillors, are very optimistic. At AMO, representing the city, we have Councillor Santos, Councillor Vicente, we have Councillor Bowman, Councillor Willens, we have Councillor Paleshi, Councillor Singh, and Councillor Dillon, all here representing the city. So it's been a really great meeting. And also our Honorable Mayor Patrick Brown. So
Okay, so
wonderful.
Can you also tell us very briefly about some of the discussions that you're able to have? Who are some of the people you're able to meet with? And, what are some of your expectations? Just a minute or two.
Yes, we were able to meet with the Minister of Finance, Honorable Rod Phillips, to discuss Bill 108, gas tax, and also regional governance. We've met with the Honorable Sylvia Jones to discuss, community safety and how, the city, we are working to unlock economic potential, making life more affordable to Bramptonians. We met with Honorable Ross Romano, the Minister of Ministry of Training Colleges and Universities. We know that has been a very big discussion as we look forward to expanding our education and academia in the city of Brampton. We've also met with the Honorable Laura.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Sure, we can hear you.
He disappeared for a second.
Okay.
Minister of Infrastructure, Laura Scott, Honorable Steve Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, really quickly, Minister of Transportation, Honorable Carmel Rooney, and Minister Jeff Urich, Ministry of Environment and Conservation, Parks. I'm telling you, it's like the speed dating of meetings. And also, we had a really great meeting with the Honorable Christine Elliott, Minister of Health, and we really pushed the importance of, completing phase 2 of the Brampton Peel Memorial Hospital, and also making sure we are getting our fair share and fair deal for Brampton residents with regards to healthcare.
Thank you so much for that update, Councillor Williams. Sorry we came in on the cell phone. Next time we will send you the link so we can have you properly so our viewers can see you from where you are. But thanks for the update. And when you get back to Brampton, we look forward to having you in studio so you can update Bramptonians and the rest of Canadians as to the progress that you have made at this AMO conference. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you so much. Just finally, I want to say that we did meet with the oppositional leaders, NDP, Liberals, and the Green Party. Everyone, all the ministers have our City of Brampton booklet, Stepping Up Together, Partner, Build, Grow, and it has all of our key issues and all of our asks. So please know, all of you in Brampton, that we are bringing forward our city's concerns and the city's and our constituents' needs. And we were not holding back. We were very clear, and it was so well received. So I'm looking forward to coming back and to sharing all of the great information that we were to get from all of the ministers.
All right. Thank you, Councillor. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you when you get back to Brampton.
Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Okay, then. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Yes, we were hoping to have them in on the proper link so we could get some more conversations. But how important it is for Brampton that they are out there sharing the Brampton message with their other municipal leaders as well as the other governments at the provincial level, the government ministers. We have always had a concern. We don't see Brampton meeting with the cabinet ministers, but they have a chance, as Councillor Williams is saying, that they have met with quite a number of them. Faraz, we'll start with you. How important is it? And then we get Kimberlee in the last 2 minutes we have here.
It's absolutely important, right? Because you're in a room with the ministers and the leaders who actually have a big say on what takes place in Brampton. And to take a team of councillors with regional councillors and effectively as well as the mayor to sit down and have a meaningful conversation and also explain to them the issues that the residents are facing here, one-off as well as ongoing, is absolutely important. Getting that one-to-one relationship built with the decision makers at Queen's Park makes a big difference.
Kimberlee, she makes a point of pointing out that they had a conversation with Minister Elliott. Healthcare is one of the big issues in Brampton, the hallway medicine, the overcrowding at the Brampton Hospital. There is the campaign going on to get the fair deal for Brampton. How significant it is that finally we see the Brampton team sitting down with someone like the Minister of Health.
I think this is very big. We've seen them starting out saying, they want Brampton to do their fair share, and we've seen them done a lot of different stuff from canvassing to whatever. So now they're taking it a step further. That they, by any means necessary, whatever it means, they're willing to meet with anybody to get Brampton their fair share. And as she said, they were handing out their booklets to partner, build, and grow. It's like, I don't care who's in leadership. This is what Brampton need. Get Brampton their fair share. So I think it's good. It's positive for Bramptonians.
Yes,
Okay,
and
awesome.
it's also the whole concept of sharing this with the residents as well. Like if you look up their social media pages, they're lit up with the stuff that they've been doing. Councillor Williams just went through a whole list of meetings that they've been tackling, and she called it almost like speed dating, and it definitely is. And to find the time, be it by a staff or themselves, have to update local residents as to what's going on, that's really effective.
Okay. And just before we wrap it up here as well, this AMO conference, we see it involves, all the government ministers as well as the opposition members. One thing coming out of it, in terms of costs, we heard that the premier has said, there are certain costs that the municipalities have to be prepared to take on, and that might be a matter of concern. So how important it is that these councillors are telling the province about the pressures that municipalities face to make sure that the province continue to keep more of the costs rather than downloading them to the municipalities. How important is that conversation?
I think it's interesting. For cost, you don't need the fair share in Brampton, right? So the cost needs to be dealt with someplace else. However, when you look at a business model, sometimes you have to invest to gain. So if there's a bit of cost that the city of Brampton has to pay, they should take this on, because the challenges that Brampton's facing, which requires intervention from our folks in the provincial legislation, are important. So the cost benefit analysis needs to be done on what they're gaining from the cost that they may actually be forced to pay.
All right, we are out of time. We're going to have to leave it there. We will have some more information for you as the councillors get back. They can share with you, Bramptonians, and with the rest of Canadians as to exactly what are some of the gains that they have made by attending this conference out there in Ottawa. We also want to thank Mr. Arpan Khanna, who passed through to share his message as to why he wants to be the next member of Parliament in Brampton North. Stay tuned. We come back to you again next Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. On Point, discussing the issues that are of importance to you as Canadians and giving you information that you can use as you make your choice in the 43rd general election. Stay tuned. We're back next Tuesday at 4.